Good evening. We are back again. Another live stream. Let's see. We have an excellent connection. My computer says on YouTube. Yeah, where many people are currently on holiday, which is logical. But we are playing around with our plugins, isn't it? Okay, let me see. Let me move this a little bit. And this is still one of the stunning sounds in WirePluck, this flute, this pan flute type of thing. Of course, a lot of plucks, and this is not a pluck, but it's a very nice lead sound. So WirePluck, very well received, does far more than most people think it does. And oh, here my MacBook boots up again, an update for MacBook, and it does mention on the M1 version 15.6, and it does mention that they have some bugs solving and some critical software safety software stuff. Yeah, it's not only happened to us, but also other brands need to update their software because somewhere is a problem. Yeah. And of course, I was very happy last Friday to send out the newsletter about the fact that we updated Prisma, which loads WirePluck, RAW 2, and so on. But then we had an issue on not of all the Macs, but on the Mac that had an Intel processor. So not the ones with the ARM processors, they call it. So the M1, M4 type of machines, the newer machines of I had no issues with Prisma, but it was on the Intel versions where things could crash. So, and we took some time to solve it, and it was a little bit tricky to find what was going on. It was essentially not very much in Prisma itself, but it was caused by WirePluck, Bit 2, and Go2X. So we updated also these plugins, and if you would download them now, not necessary because the new Prisma version for Mac is not yet out, but I will mention that maybe tomorrow you can download then again the Explorer 10 with the fixes to the Go2X, WirePluck, and a Bit 2, and then you can install Prisma 109 for the Mac, and it will run also smooth on your Intel Mac computer. So computers are not always fun, definitely, and it was essentially a very small code line that messed up. And I did try Prisma on my M1 laptop, and it all works flawless, and also worked flawless on the M4 on SciJack. But once I installed it on the older MacBook, which I have, which is from 2012, it crashed on Prisma. Prisma crashed on WirePluck. But as mentioned, we fixed it. So hopefully tomorrow you can download again Prisma 109 if you have an Intel Mac. And of course, I will mention this in next week, Tuesday, in the newsletter. And as mentioned, on the ARM processor Macs, there was no issue. The only thing somebody mentioned is in Pro Tools that Prisma did not show up. But with Pro Tools, if you use Pro Tools and you did run an installer of all plugins, you always need to reboot your computer. That's the same for Pro Tools on PC and Mac. You always need to reboot your computer because something in the cache inside Pro Tools always messes up if you run an installer and don't reboot. But okay, enough talking. So WirePluck, the nice instrument sound. So you have the synth sounds, even wire type of sound. And this one you hear, it has that's same as the original clavinet, which it has a kind of pulling string mechanism. It pulls the string, and if it lets go, it pulls it a little bit again. So you always have, if you let go of the note, you hear another little click. So let me mute it, and then you can hear it. So it sounds a little bit like a clavinet. Sorry, if you go to the advanced page, you can see that down here in the modulation matrix, we have node off does trigger or retrigger layer 3. So, and here, if I go click on this number 1, I can mute this or bypass this modulation, and you don't hear the retriggering. Click it on. So that's the typical thing from a clavinet, which we reproduce. I think I should make more variations on the clavinet. So this one is with a it's a nice talk box inside the FX2. So this is without the talk box, and this is with the talk box. Let me mute the keyboard. Nice for groovy stuff. So yeah, WirePluck, we are definitely not at the end of what is possible. And of course, if you combine that one with a Prisma, it's an amazing combination. WirePluck is here. Let me see, I need to add an extra track. Add instrument. Oh, wrong one. Stupid me, I picked the same instrument. Okay, so I have it now. Here it is. And in Prisma, so on PC, it's stable. We only have a few people who mentioned that they did not see WirePluck, but if you click here in this corner, if you run all the latest installers, all the files Cubase needs for the VST3 and even the VST2 are inside common files. So program files, common files, VST3. And what you can do is in the upper right corner, rescan plugins, or you can click on the logo, and then you can see down here you can rescan and also set the VST plugin folder, but that's default. You cannot change this one. This is really the one you need to use. Once that is done, so maybe it's something different appears here in this section. So it should be program files, common files, VST3/Rob Papen. That should be the folder you need to have. You cannot move that to another location. Then you do rescan, and if you have then the Explore 10 and the legacy installer installed, then you have all the presets you can play in Prisma. Somebody on Facebook mentioned, why should I have the older plugins? Well, the case is that if you go to a preset here, for instance, in Superpads, when I pick just one here, Mild Rain, I'm not sure what that preset is, and I want to go to the control panel. Yeah, it uses Predator 2 and Bluetooth. So these are not anymore in the main installer of Explorer 10. So you need to add the legacy installer to have this preset playing. Otherwise, it would be turned out here in a gray color, and you cannot play the sound. And you would miss a lot of cool sounds. Yeah, and of course, by a lot of work, we could make it the case that looking up which preset is used in Predator 3 to use Predator 3, which preset is used in Bluetooth 2, and then adjust all these things down here with the multi-control page. But we have so many presets in Prisma that would take ages for us to replace the presets which use, for instance, Predator 2 and Bluetooth by Blue 3 and Predator 3. So that will be a month of work, I'm afraid. And another thing is, of course, sometimes people have older songs which use Predator 2 or Bluetooth, and you still want to use them. The legacy installer is inside the Explorer download page, and you definitely need that. And I will mention that in the newsletter again, that's really essential. Okay, another thing, if you, so on PC, Prisma is stable. If you notice anything weird, always mention to us. As mentioned, important to have the Explorer installed and also the Legacy installer installed so that you can play all the presets. So if I go to a different preset, floating flutes here, and you see loading, please wait, it needs to load. Yeah, that one uses twice Bluetooth. This one is a bit heavy on the CPU. So you see a lot of presets use plugins from the previous versions. And it would be pity if you would miss them. And as mentioned, if you created a song with a Predator 2, the Legacy installer is always wise to have. Keep in mind that our plugins are not big in size. Some people confuse our plugins with sample contact library, but that's not the case. Only a small range of our instruments use samples, only samples. So Blue 2 and Blue 3 have a range of samples. Punch has a range of samples, and Subboom Bass 2 a range of samples. But in terms of size, it's not that big. I think on the PC, I'm not sure, maybe it's about 10 gigabyte what you need in room for your hard disk. So it's not tons of gigabytes you need for running our software. So that's something you need to remember. So if you have then Prisma installed, the latest version, you have the Explorer 10 installed, you have the Legacy installed, then you can go to the presets. In SuperPads, I go to the bank manager, I do order by date, and then the latest presets always pop up here. So well could be that if you play them, and then at a given moment you have, of course, that you play this the preset again, which was before. I think Klangwelt meets Pat. Let's play that one. I'm not sure. That one uses WirePluck and Bit 2. So these two caused a problem on the Intel Macs, but we hope if everything goes well, tomorrow you can download again Prisma 1.09 for your Mac with an Intel processor, and it will run fine again. Nice combi sound. WirePluck combined with Bit 2. So Bit 2 plays a Jupiter A type of. And then WirePluck does play this plug sound. Nice, isn't it? Okay, so a little thing about this again. So keep an eye tomorrow. I will mention this on Facebook, I think also on X and on YouTube on the comment section that we upload a update for the Prisma for the Mac computer that use the Intel processor, so that you also can enjoy Prisma on your Intel-based machine. And as mentioned, the course was not only in Prisma, but there was something in WirePluck, Bit 2, and GoToX, which was on the PC never caused a problem, but on the Mac, something that caused a problem. There's all very similar in terms of coding, But yeah, you see the little difference can spoil the game, as they call it. So let me see. Yeah, that's one of my favorite pad sounds. This is called 2-pad or not 2-pad. Predator 3 together with bit 2, which is very, very soft sounding pad sound. So if you don't have a budget for a real Jupiter 8, because they are ridiculous expensive, why not use Prisma with Predator 2, 3 and bit combined? And the cool thing is with Prisma, you have these faders where you can have less stereo delay, pad filters you can change or attack. So down here you have 4 destinations per pad, and you can pick, for instance, the FX send, which is here. You can see it, pre 1 and pre 2. It changes the FX send. Or you can just pick one of the parameters which are in the layers. So in the layers you have the easy edit for each plugin, which then has a particular range of parameters you can pick. And then you can adjust the sound. So it's a very creative product. Some people ask me if Prisma also will be able to load other plugins. That's not possible. If you like that, I would advise you to look into a product which is called, let me see if I can find the, yeah, it's called Unify, to be sure that I have the right name. Unify is a program which can load any VST into, and you can combine all together. Goes far deeper in terms of options you have, and of course Prisma, it does focus on our own plugins, and the reason for that is also because if it would be open for other plugins and other plugins have bugs, then we would have, of course, a problem inside Prisma as well. And we have more than work enough to get everything compatible ourselves on the different platforms, PC, Apple with audio unit, AAX, VST3, VST. So it's so check that out. The Unify it's called. Okay, so back in the manager, new presets are inside. So we have stacked, raw to edgy. These are edgy lead sounds. 2 stacks most of the time. These are all 2 stacks. Okay, I'm playing now the raw. So really, raw 2 is a. That one uses the lead, the patat saxophone. So really edgy lead sound. So this is lead stack 2. So they pull inside the track. So if you need something which jumps out, edgy, raw 2 is the way to go. A whole different type of sound compared to how WirePluck is. because it's a little bit boosted now. The volume is a little bit high, sorry for that. But that's also inside Prisma, because yeah, Prisma now also can load RAW 2. And we added in the Bank Manager, in the Dance app, also some very interesting edgy sequences. So here you see RAW 2, Edge, Perky Time, Edge, Stereo. These are the new ones. So if you click on Order by Date, these are the new ones with RAW 2. So now it needs time to load. Another one. Edgy pots. Modulation wheel. And you can change things here. Sometimes one sound is more than enough to start a track. Well, this one uses a raw kick with an arp. Very edgy. And that's good. I mean, we have many colors in our bundle. So you go to edgy RAW 2 sounds, to the combination of FM together with all kind of other synthesis in Blues 3. And of course we have WirePluck now. Yeah, this one combines the arpeggiators, so it's nice to combine two arpeggiators together. Cool, isn't it? So give it a try. So by locating, I mentioned in the info section, if you go to the download page of Prisma, I mentioned two things, that we currently, the current version is only for the ARM processor Macs. But in the info section, you can read, for instance, where the location is of the new presets. So they're in SuperPads, Dance Arp, the new is inside the RAW 2 Edgy Bank, and I think we had new ones in the classic stacks, which are also some very nice presets. Here I can click again on Blade to Pluck, Wire to Steel. This one is a nice one. This one is very WirePluck twice. So if you only own WirePluck, you still can play this preset in Prisma. Isn't that nice? So just combining two sounds. Prisma can have 4 layers, but you will notice in my preset design, mostly it's only 2 presets, because otherwise it's too much. So this uses a synth sound combined with the arpeggiator, one of the new presets in Prisma. Okay, let me check the chat room, because I missed a little bit. The chat room. Everybody welcome. I hope everybody has a good time and enjoys WirePluck and Prisma. And as mentioned, Prisma on the Mac will, as it looks now, tomorrow an update, because we had an issue on the Mac with Prisma, and particularly on the Intel Mac computers. So here's Prisma WirePluck with the ribbon controller. But this is just only WirePluck. very ambient sound. It's called Pluck Dawn. Yeah, nice preset. This is from the introduction bank. You can download the demo version of WirePluck. In the latest version we have is 011A, and in there we added the preset banks from Mark Satchel, which also has some nice presets on board. Yeah, the cool thing is WirePluck, you combine 3 layers, and each layer can have one of the 4 synthesis types. So you can have a kind of FM synthesizer we have built in, which is essentially a 3 oscillator FM synthesizer, which each modulating oscillator has also a pitch envelope. We have the wire, which is our own development algorithm, which sounds a little bit like a wire. And then, of course, we have a wave synthesis, which is essentially a subtractive, so waveform. So you have a square, a sawtooth. So you also have a one single oscillator option there. So 4 synthesis. So here you can pick them. You see what I mentioned, wire, which is this typical wire sound. String is a string model we adapted. And maybe I should go into detail a little bit better for you about WirePluck. When I go to the default preset, that's very ugly. It's not exciting, isn't it? But that's the wire sound. It's only layer 1, wire sound. I can make the decay longer. Let's make the volume a little bit higher. And here you have the wire pulling the wire. That's the first one. And the interesting thing what we added, because if you create plugs, is sometimes they have a pitch envelope, but it goes so fast that you don't hear this pitch envelope, but this clicking of it. So it's a default setting. And if you go very fast, that adds a little punch to the sound. So this WirePluck has an additional filter, which you can make respond to velocity, an envelope. And the pitch envelope is in each layer, included the high pass filter, because sometimes maybe you want to make it very thin. And of course, at the end, you have a very short decay option. So that's the wire. Then we have the string model. Well, it's very soft because I have the high pass filter. This is a string model. And the string model has in the advanced page some more settings, like you can put off free and drift. And the string model is, of course, a string model. Only we added then key to plug, all kind of velocity settings, damping, velocity to damping. So you see in the advanced we have a little bit more settings. And then you see the pitch envelope. Adds a little punch to the sound. So I have a lot of options there. If I go back again to the main screen, so the main screen doesn't have all the parameters. It's more if you work with presets and just want to adjust a little bit, so you can put on, off a layer, or simply try a different synthesis type. So FM means it's 3 oscillator FM synthesizer. So the third one is the one which is modulated, which is here. Displayed with semi-3, so you can the modulated oscillator. You don't essentially only control the semi-tuning of it, and then the other 2 oscillators are the modulating ones, and you have 2 options, 2 modes. That oscillator 1 and 2 modulate oscillator 2, or oscillator 1 modulates oscillator 2, and oscillator 2 modulates 3. So these are the FM setup. Of course, it's essentially phase modulation, but they call it FM synthesis, so we kept it this way. So you see the volume. This is the FM part. And there also the pitch envelope. But if you make it fast, and that's not originally in a DX7 or the original FM synthesis, never had a pitch envelope this way connected. On the modulating ones, it's the same. You hear? And you can make some additional different sound tones with it. So it's more FM synthesis plus with 3 oscillators. And then, of course, also here the high-pass filter. In the advanced page, that's a little bit more what you can adjust. And that's the reason why we made the advanced page LCD type, because there are so many parameters you can add it. But most people, I think, will stay if they add it a little bit on the main page. And one cool thing is, for instance, if you're on the main page, you can also say, okay, I click on one here, but you click on the layer label, you can load a preset. So I can load, for instance, from the wire, no thin. So, and here in FM, so let me shut down. If I have the FM, I can click on the layer label and load a preset. And we added some. So, for instance, basic bass. It's just one oscillator, just one layer. So that's also inside of it some very nice little hidden features. Very often also in our other plugins, by the way. So if you click on the label layer, you have additional features. So these 3 layers you combine together into the sound, and you got down here then the effects. And down here you have on the main page you can control then the LFO speed, the chord, and the main amp envelope, which is always important, because when I go, for instance, to this lead sound I mentioned, you see that one has a different setting. Okay, where is the lead? Introduction, lead. Here it is. You see here down the amp section, and the attack, decay, sustain, release is a bit different because it has a slow attack. And if I close the attack, then it's more a plug. Now it's popcorn. Okay, don't play it, Rob. You get a strike. Get a strike. So from pan flute to popcorn. Up here I can click original, and then it loads again the original sound. So that's the reason the main screen has a lot of parameters which are great to add it. Doesn't go too deep, and you still can go with some nice variation. Of course, if you create your own presets, it's wise to go to the manager to create here you see here I have Rob Personal. So to create here, down here you can create your own preset, and then you can, if you save a preset, you could say then save preset in folder, and you can save it in this folder you have. I'm not sure what I have in my personal bass live. Oh, that's one I created last time. I have really an overtone, so a Mickey. Yeah, then of course you can have a little distortion. So you can go edgy. Or this mod Avix also has some very interesting distortion box. Yeah, you see a lot of cool features. ARP sounds, and what is special with the ARP is, if you go to the ARP presets, you see the main screen has also presets. What we added a lot of presets that we use in Go2 and Go2X, because the arpeggiator is very similar to Go2X. So all kind of cool sequences. And you can pick here from the factory patches. I go to factory 4. I could pick a different. Suddenly a different. When I go to the advanced page, I still can edit it. And you see here, I cannot pick the presets because you don't have room for it, because here more is visible in the advanced screen. But that's the cool thing about the main screen, is that you can tweak around here yourself, your ARP, and pick one of the different presets. And sometimes you run into cool things, and then I would say save the preset with a different name for your next song. Okay, go to the advanced again. Welcome everybody. Although it's summertime, pretty busy in the chat room. That's nice. At the start of the live stream, I mentioned that tomorrow most likely we'll have an update of Prisma because of a issue on the Intel-based Mac computers, and so that they can enjoy it. So here, what I played, the sound where WirePluck is combined. Okay. Oh no, it pops up again. Okay, sorry guys. Let me see. Is there any questions? Just let me know. You see, I'm looking up to see if there's anything in the chat room popping up. Yeah, what is the advantage of Prisma? The advantage of Prisma, of course, you also can do in your own music host. If you play a sound and you pick another track and you stack that, you copy the track over the notes you played. You also can stack two sounds together. With a Cubase, you can simply stack two sounds together. So if I have, for instance, in Cubase, I can say this sound and this sound. Maybe better this. No. This sound. Together with this one, I use Shift in Cubase and I play two sounds together. But that's only in this song. And maybe the combination you like and you want to use it in another song. So for instance, if you say, I love to combine what I played before, the Predator 3 combined with Bit 2 to make some very nice mellow pad sounds in my track. Now in Prisma, you simply can load in this nice combination you made. So let's go to the super pads where well, I mentioned this. So for instance, this 2-pad or not 2-pad. Now it needs to load, and then Predator 3 is combined with Bit 2. So this preset is then in your next song easy. You don't have to do all kind of weird thing to have it. Here it is. Really sounds like my beloved Jupiter behind me. Here it is, this one. With the candy colors. Some people didn't know that. The first time when I saw the Jupiter 8, well, let me see if I can maybe do a little trick. Okay, see up here. So I do a little bit side. I distract myself if it's something else. So here you see my webcam, which is, you see on the left side, you see my okay. You see the little fatty, the sequential, and there's the Jupiter 8. Below it is the SH5, Jupiter 8. If you go more up, you get the Prophet 600 and even higher the Minimoog. But you see all the candy colors. And of course, Jupiter 8 is a legendary instrument, and I use it a lot while making music in the past, and also now and then I also use it when I make new music for some sounds inside of it. But the first time I did see it, I thought, oh my goodness, all these colors. I mean, you had the Moog, memory Moog, which looked a bit more cooler. So the Jupiter 8 was very colorful, a bit too much, like a candy store. But if you ever been to Japan and you go into in a shop where they sell all kind of stuff, it's full of colors. It's a kind of taste they have to make it very colorful. So I had to adapt to the Jupiter 8 to the massive different colors. Of course, on a TR-808, it's also visible like that. But in the end, you adapt to it. And of course, it's one of the classics of Roland, this Jupiter 8. Okay, and what I did recently, I gave it some new dust things so that the dust cannot go below the faders. I put in a different power supply, which is not heating up so much, which runs much cooler. Yeah, I have the Jupiter 8 already from 1982, guys. So it's in my possession already for over 40 years. Oh my goodness, I'm getting old. Well, not in my heart, still young in my heart, but yes, it's an old lady, this Jupiter 8. And even the Mini Moog, it's even older. I think that one is from somewhere in the 70s. But this is how I program, of course. The Jupiter 8 inspired me, and the way I program my pads on the Jupiter 8, I did in Predator 3 and in Bit 2. Okay, that was not a nice sound. So that's the advantage of Prisma. You have a nice text sound, and next time in a new song, you can use it. Yeah, many presets. This is called Prismatron. That's an old one, but let's see what it loads. And you see loading takes time because it's a little bit like a sampler. Yeah, and also here we see it's the Blue 2. Nice synth sound. Okay. Can you emulate a harmonizer inside WirePluck for an instrument? Harmonizer? Can you emulate a harmonizer inside WirePluck for the instrument you created? Not sure what you mean by that. Harmonizer means that you create a chord, isn't it? Or my Jupiter 8, if it's a 12-bit or 14-bit. It had once a repair. I think it is now the 14-bit. Yeah, originally it was 12-bit, but I had a defect and it was repaired. And I think it's a 14-bit now. But there's not much difference between it, I think. You cannot hear it. It's only the processing of the fader positions. Okay, I see another question. Playable chord arpeggiators. Not sure, guys, what you mean by that. Let's go to WirePluck and just go to the arpeggiator. So, because the arpeggiator is very extensive, it's very similar to go to X and go to. So here you have the mode. You have then arpeggiator modes, but you also can have a sequencer mode, which makes it a monophonic sequencer. Even a modulation mode, which would be free mode, mono or poly. So you can use the arpeggiator let's say, the velocity as a modulation source. So that kind of deep stuff is possible. And chord means that it triggers the chord instead of playing the notes after each other. So let me give you an example. And I think we were the first ones which have chord in the arpeggiator. I'm pretty sure about that. I requested that at that time already in the Albino 2 it was. So here we have a pluck sound. So if you go here to the arpeggiator, let's go directly to the advanced page. I can put it on here. So this is up mode, and you can go up, down. All kind of stuff is possible. And then you have the chord mode. Chord mode, instead of playing the notes after each other, I need to make you play the chords trigger. So that's the chord mode, triggers the notes you play. That's very interesting. Sounds a bit like then a gated, as if you would play a pad in the gated way. Sequencers, monophonic. Then we have, of course, the key. If you press this one, you play and always play from note C. See, you can put in the notes. So that's sequencer mode, and if you have sequencer reset, each time when you play a new note, it starts at the first step. Because if you have the normal sequencer mode and I play legato, it continues. So then you can play different notes, and it keeps on going to the next step. And then there is also sequencer mono. Okay, I'm not sure what the difference is. I think Gerald requested the difference between sequencer reset and mono. I forgot, sorry. Must be my age. But you see, order, up, down, so reverse order. So these are the traditional arpeggiators. So this arpeggiator is not only an arpeggiator, but it's also doing other modes like a sequencer. And it has per step a chord memory. So here you can say on step 8, do me a minor 7. And now it's detuned, so let's make it 0. So then you can have a lot of stuff. And that's the cool thing. So if you go to the main screen, you have a lot of presets here where you can enjoy many presets. Play chords 1. Okay, now I need to pick another preset. Yeah. Okay. So I'm not sure what you mean with a harmonizer. Harmonizer is essentially something you use on a vocal so that it does a kind of detuning or does the second voice. What I mostly used is a little detuning, and essentially you can also what we have, of course, which you also can use on our instruments. If I go to my vocal sound, where am I? I can pick here Unimagic, and Unimagic has a bit very similar to what you in the past has the detuned sounds. So it sounds like a multiple Rob playing now. So this is a typical sound what I also used in the 90s on the vocal of Phil Collins. These kind of stuff is that. So here you have all kind of presets, multi-vox 1, bypass. So if you have a single voice singing, then you can make it like this. There are many presets. This one. So these are all the presets. Sweet Vox 4. and you can change the amount. So, and then you have the spring back feature where it changes a little bit, very minimal, the sound. So it's nice on vocals. Or you could also say, put it ahead of a reverb. So we could say, take ref sane, and then can use ref sane. Go. Yep. Yeah, that's cool, the disrupt. So this is the red dry. So it really can, I cannot sing, but for vocals this is very nice. The Unimagic. So that's more what they did in the past, in this 80s, 90s with a harmonizer, is to thicken up the voice. Eventide was very famous for it, and Unimagic does a little bit similar, but then also a few other stuff, because we like to do other stuff. So you also have a, yeah, analog chorus is there. Oops. Testing. Well, if you do vocals on your tracks, give it a try. Let me shut down ref saying. Give it a try. Pick a solo vocal and simply add it. Makes it nice stereo. Okay, small tone. No, I think the other ones did focus on that, although Gert Bruins mentions this phaser. We have a phaser. I'm not sure if it sounds fully like this small tone one. So if I go out of Unimagic, if I go to, did I install it? RPA mod. RPA mod. So this is RPA mod. Yeah. Drums, vocal. This is vocal. Really nice vocal for chorus. Yeah, here should be, of course, now when I press bypass, here we should have instruments. And this one has also phaser. And by the way, then RPA mode is very popular because it's part of the Explorer bundle. But if you have one product, you always can request RPA mode as a free plugin. This is a guitar anaphaser, so I'm now using it on my voice. So there are presets for vocal, instrument, drums. The drums are very strange. Strange would be cool on drums, but I think it's also nice on the voice. Resistance is futile. Cool, isn't it? Oh, this is then Crazy Flames. Let me see. So it has some interesting combinations. It essentially can combine two modulation effects together, parallel or in series. So RPA mode, maybe you have already one plugin, or maybe more, and never noticed that on my products you can request RPA mode, which is deal 1, and deal 2 is Prisma. Of course, for Prisma you need at least one instrument. Okay. Okay, I'm reading the chat room. Yeah, the discussion is also, again, a little bit on the Jupiter 8, and that the 14-bit or 12-bit only has influence on the tuning. It well could be. And the funny thing is with, and that's maybe a nice story, with the Jupiter 8, you had unison, and then you had 8 voices stacked to each other. But don't tune then the Jupiter 8, let it be a little bit out of tune, otherwise the sync sound would sound too tight and you would lose the unison. And that's cool about, of course, software, if you have unison, that you can detune the unison to make it thick. So on the Jupiter 8, if you use unison, you should not hit the tune button. Okay. Yeah, weird effects, definitely. Okay, guys. Well, this was it for today. Keep an eye on the comment. So the comment section in YouTube, I will mention there that we update the Prisma for the Mac users so that it will work on your Intel Mac. And then we hope each other next week. We go down again with another live stream. Maybe I will do something special. Maybe I grab one of my old synthesizers and we'll do a session about the oldie classics which are in my studios. So that will be maybe an idea. So thanks for watching. And we go out with a bit of... let's go out with a bit of WirePluck. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you next time.